Shalom, shalom, elect of the nation of Israel. It's your brother Qadar Shahan here, coming at you with a real quick video. First things first, I would like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rahak Wadash, which in the ancient Paleo-Hebrew tongue is the correct name of the Heavenly Father, His only begotten Son, and the Holy Spirit. And I like to give double honors to my teachers, the head apostles and elders of Great Millstone, which I learned is truth. I want to send sincere salutations to the brothers pushing this truth all across the four winds in truth and sincerity. Shalom to you brothers, and shalom to the Akim and Aquaf, which consists of the men and the women who are listening, learning, and studying to show themselves approved. Shalom. Today I'm going to get into a real quick lunchtime video centered around being offended by the gospel, being ashamed of the word. And we're living in a time where that's pretty much common. Like, people are ashamed and offended by the gospel of Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai. They are offended and ashamed of the true teaching of the scriptures, man. Hell, they even ashamed of plantation, and they even ashamed and offended of plantation Christianity, man. Because we're living in a time where the devil, the so-called white man, is pushing out his agenda. He's pushing out Satanism and the spirit of do as thou wilt, which is the first commandment, and I think it's one of the first commandments in the commandments of Satanism, is to do as thou wilt. Whatever you want to do, do it. And the scriptures comes to correct you to do things a certain way. So people automatically gets offended and gets is ashamed of what the scriptures is doing when it comes down to if someone correct them using the scriptures. You know, that's why you see a lot of people are turning away from the Christian church, turning away from, it's a lot of videos going out talking about how I used to become how I used to be a Hebrew Israelite, or why I left the church. Or that's because they was ashamed of the gospel, and they was ultimately offended in Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, because in the scriptures it tells you, it's a precept that says, in my mouth it was sweet as honey, but in my belly it was bitter. The scriptures is bitter, man. It's not all good, man. It's like, it's good for you, but like it's not always gonna be sweet. You know what I'm saying? It's something like it's gonna be bitter moments, and you gotta roll with that, man. You gotta be sound in this truth and not let that shake you out. And if that's the case, that means you're a part of the elect. But if the case is you get shooken out and offended, and then you ashamed of the words of Yahweh Yahweh Shai, that means you was never a part of this, and you're not of the Lord's elect. And ultimately, you're going to end up getting destroyed, because this word is going to be what saves you. Having the true understanding, the wisdom, understanding, and knowledge of these scriptures is going to be the stability of the times. It's going to be what saves you, what's going to deliver you. What the Lord Yahweh Shai is going to deliver you, but it's going to be, do you believe, that you study to show yourself approved, that you believe in Him, that you believe in His word. And a lot of people don't, because it's points in the scriptures that's offensive, like the topic of grape. Like, there's rape in the scriptures, but they don't get a lot of talk about. People don't talk about it because it's offensive to them. You know, people are ashamed of that in the scriptures, because the word only means to grab or to take hold, and it's not a sin to do that. Like, you supposed to, if you was to take a woman against her will, long as she wasn't married, like, all you'll have to do is to pay a dowry to her father, and you could never put her away. But in this day and age, in this society, they would think like that's a bad thing. It's a shame. You ain't supposed to do this and that, and I would never. But there was a custom in the scriptures, and there was something that you had to do it if you had to do it. a penalty, which is pay a dowry. That wasn't a sin punishable by death, man. At that point alone, the fact that the Lord got dietary restrictions to where you ain't supposed to eat, bottom feeders and dirty, unclean animals. That offends people because people wants to do as thou wilt. People want to eat whatever they want to eat, whatever tastes good and make them feel good. And that's going to be a lot of people's downfall. Let's grab this. Let's just jump into the scriptures. Let's get Matthew 11:6. And it reads, "Blessed is he whosoever shall not be offended in me." You see that? It says, "Blessed is he whosoever shall not be offended in him," man. And like I said, in the day and age, everybody's offended. You got these Gen Zs who's offended in everything, really. They just so soft. Then you got the millennials who's wants to do, like, they just, kind of hard-headed and just stuck in their ways. You got the Gen X and baby boomers who was taught wrong, not the truth of the scriptures. And, they just want to stick to traditions of men, the traditions that was passed down to them. So, like, people are offended in the truth of the scriptures, man. That's why a lot of the prophets in the ancient times got put to death. It offended a lot of people, the words of the Lord Yahweh Bahashim Yahushua. And a lot of people were ashamed of it. Like, it's accounts in the scriptures of people who, preached the word and then got ashamed and, like, put the Bible down. That's why it's a precept that says, "He who put the plow down was never fit for a kingdom, fit for the kingdom." Loosely paraphrasing, man. He who pick up the plow and put it down, man. So we can't be offended in this word. We gotta stand stiffly, be rooted and grounded, and whatever comes up on us, we gotta take cheerfully, man, because we know, what's the prize on the other side, man. A lot of prophets got put to death, man. Who didn't back down, who continued to do with their father's business, and that ultimately led to them, getting persecuted. But their reward is the kingdom of heaven, man. So we can't be offended in the Lord, and we can't be ashamed of his word, no matter what. You trying to, you over here teaching the scriptures, then you get a chick, and then she's offended by, that the scriptures allow a man to have multiple women. So you get ashamed of your teachings, and she's offended, and now you putting the scriptures down. Or you get offended and you ashamed that you ain't making as much money and your life ain't going as right since you got into this truth, because you thought whenever you get into this truth, things are going to get easier for you, but contrary, like, things gonna get worse whenever you get into this truth. The Lord is gonna test you. So you get ashamed and offended by that, and then you fall out. You can't be one of those people, man. Because this truth is what's gonna help you. The scriptures tell you it's gonna be persecution come upon the saints. See, a lot of people don't count the cost of what this truth is. They don't really get it. They just jump in this thing like it's a fad. Then they end up getting offended or getting ashamed and jump out of it, not knowing you just marked yourself for destruction. Let's get Romans real quick. Let's go to the blue letter. Let's get Romans. Let's get Romans. 1:16, I believe. I think this is it. Let's see. Yeah, it says, "For I am not ashamed of the gospel of Hamashiach, For it is the power of Yahweh unto salvation, man. See, we can't be ashamed of the Lord and what he told us to do, or what the Lord's prophecies are. Because the Lord just says this, the spirit of Yahushua is the spirit of prophecy, loosely paraphrasing. It says that. So we can't be offended of the Lord's word, what the Lord preached of him personally, the prophecies to come. No, because this is going to be to our salvation, man. For I am not ashamed of the gospel of Hamashiach, for it is the power of Yahweh unto salvation to everyone that believes, to the Jew first, and also to the Greek, which is going into those who were Hellenized, who didn't know that there were Israelites, who thought there was Greeks, you know, who grew up in the Greek captivity, and the Israelites who grew up in the Greek captivity, who thought that they were Greek and didn't know their heritage, that they was Israelites. Just like you grew up here in America, but you don't know that you're an Israelite until, you know, the Lord allowed you to come into this truth. But this truth is going to be our salvation, so we can't be ashamed or offended in it, because if you are, hey, it's going to be to your detriment, man. It's going to be to your demise. Let's get 2 Timothy. Let's get 2 Timothy. I want to say, let's see, somewhere in the middle. Yeah, 2 Timothy 2:15. It says, study to show thyself approved. It says, unto Yahweh, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the words of truth. You can't be ashamed of these scriptures, man. Whatever the Lord said, it was for a reason, and it stands. You know, a lot of people are ashamed of this truth. They think it's going to make them look crazy. You know, they're going to be an outcast if they get into this truth. It's like, you know, they ain't going to fit in, you know, and they're ashamed of it. But hey, are you going to you're going to let that, you know, you're going to let that cancel out your salvation? Nah, man. We gotta study in this truth and not be ashamed of it, and preach this word. People are ashamed, and people are scared to go out there and be like, man, we're gonna get. You would sound crazy to think that you know, people think you crazy to know that a heavenly chariot that look like a spaceship is gonna come down and save and beam you up. Thus saith the scriptures. You know, they'd be ashamed. They looking shamed and don't want to say, ain't gonna say that or preach that because they worried about how it make them look. But hey, yeah, that's the truth. And we're gonna be hated by other people of this world. That's a promise, man. That's a promise in the scriptures. The Lord said, hey, if they hated me, they gonna hate you. Hey, you ain't greater than your master. Hey, the Lord got ridiculed. Everybody wanted to put the Lord Yahushua to death, man. Everywhere he went. Wicked Pharisees and Sadducees and Israelites who thought Yahushua was rocking the boat. What did Yahushua do? Finished his work. Did what the Lord told him to do. And now he's sitting at the right hand of the Father. But like this precept said, it says, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the words of truth, man. And that's how we gotta be. Let's grab a couple more precepts. Gotta be kind of quick because you know, the lunch break went by quick as hell. Let's get 1 Corinthians 2:14, I believe. Um, bear with me. Yeah, this is 1 Corinthians 2:14. It says, "But the natural man receiveth not the things of the Spirit of Yahweh." He go see the natural man, though the Israelite man who the 2/3, and the heathens of the other nations, they not going to receive this, man. They can't receive it because it's too crazy to them, or it offends them. And 2/3 of the nation of Israel, those who slated to be destroyed, they're not going to get it. They're spiritually discerned, man. They're not going to get it because it offends them, man. We live in the world of alphabet agenda. The alphabet clan is everywhere. That offends people, man. This truth offends them because that tells you that's an abomination. And if you and if you say that to an alphabet, they can say that's a hate speech and all kind of things. So people really shy away from teaching the truth of the scriptures, man, because it's offensive. But us of the hopeful elect, we don't care who it offends. This scripture is a two-edged sword. It cuts. It's supposed to cut people. It's supposed to make you get in your feelings so you can change your ways. But like I said, people are so soft now, all they're going to do is cry, call the police, get you in trouble. But it says, "But the natural man receiveth not the things of the Spirit of Yahweh, for they are foolishness unto him." You see? Like, people, it's lucky. But it says, "For they are foolishness unto them. Neither can they know them because they are spiritually discerned." They're not in this truth. Like everything of this world is held in higher esteem than this truth is. They got that DMX spirit on them, that belly, nigga. That book. You can't eat that book, nigga. You gotta make the money, man. See, they think this is foolishness. And then it cuts them. They don't like the fact that they can't eat pork. They don't like the fact that, you can't sleep with the same sex. They don't like none of that. So it offends them, man. And it's foolishness. Nigga, that's back in the Bible days, nigga. We in 2025. Nigga, you can do whatever you want. See, they ashamed of the scriptures. It offends them. And they're spiritually discerned. They're not going to get it, man. They're not going to get it. They can't get it. It's a stumbling block unto them. Matter of fact, let's end it with this. Let's get 1 Peter 2:8. And it reads, let's see if I want to start up. Bear with me. Yeah, this is, I'm going to just start there. It says a stone of stumbling. So this truth, Yahweh Shai is going to be a stone of stumbling for a lot of people, man. A stumbling block. It says, and a rock of offense. That's why a lot of people are offended by the Lord in His word and what's going to happen. See, a lot of people are offended that we say America, aka Babylon the Great, is going to be destroyed. But that's what it says in prophecy, man, and it's going to happen. They want to save this place. It says, and in this word, and you telling them that this place is going to be destroyed, thus saith the scriptures, thus saith the Bible, they are offended by it and they're ashamed of it. It says, and a stone of stumbling and a rock of offense, even to them which stumble at the word. At the word, it says, being disobedient, whereunto also they were appointed, man. So a lot of people are going to stumble. They're stumbling at this because they're ashamed of what the scriptures are saying. They're offended by them, and we can't be that way, man. We can't be offended in the Lord or offended in His word, because His word is going to be what saves us. So we got to be stiff-necked and rooted and grounded against those of the world, man, against this westernized society and their train of thought. You know, we can't listen to them. We gotta be hard headed against them, man. Because we're gonna have a lot of people trying to, shake you out of this truth, and you can't let it happen. But I'm gonna end it there. Lord willing, it was edifying. Lord willing, it made sense. And I would like to say, Call Halal Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shah, Bahashim Rakakwadash, Kwam Yasharallah, Wa Baba Ba, Shalom.